Really? This generation that is so dynamic, this generation that refuses to accept frames, this generation that is so interactive, so creative, so expecting their voice to be heard, and we're running with this, we're giving them this. They don't accept boxes. They don't accept frames. How are we going to engage them using this language? How are we going to engage them, not allowing them to participate? They're adapting. We have to start. So I'm just going to show you a possibility. Believe it or not, an INTP is here to present a model. Who would have known? It's not a real model. It's just a visual take on it. But imagine instead you get letters. And then they're allowed to choose the font. They're allowed to choose the size. They're allowed to choose the color. They're allowed to choose a background. I'm sorry, no, actually, they're allowed to choose a frame, which we won't call because they don't like them. And they're allowed to choose a background. And then they give them arrows. Dominant, extroverted, feeling. Auxiliary, introverted, intuiting. ENFJ. But it gives you a feeling for how this ENFJ views themselves, how this ENFJ feels they are in the world. And the ENFJ has gotten ownership over what it means by choosing the symbol, by choosing the visualization. It's a very visual group of people. Maybe they don't like the background. TN. Frame, background. INTP. An INTP that kind of likes the structure, likes the hardness, likes the logic, runs more with that. Maybe you have a softer INTP, views themselves more in the puzzle creation and the puzzle fixing. You can tell a lot through this idea of adding it to it, and you get that sense of ownership that it's yours. This is in general what it would look like. As they get to choose, they get to interact. And believe it or not, the millennials would start running with this and start adding all kinds of different imagery. I asked an ISFP to make these for me. Closed up, but this is what's going on inside. This is who she wants to be. And it tells me so much more about her and allows her so much more ownership over who she is, telling the world, than just ISFP would. Perhaps this one, quieter one, more what you might expect of it. Artful, but so subtle. ESTJ, keeping the world going, staying strong. But Susan, if you could choose anything you wanted, really, I'm not telling you you have to have this. Introverted intuiting, extroverted thinking, INTJ, with the infinity signs in the back, really running with that introverted intuiting. INTP, gotten in touch with their anima, going for that softer extroverted feeling, trying to say, I'm different, I've grown. Tells you so much more, allows the person to express themselves. Somebody can actually start changing it as they go through their development. ENFJ's been in the corporate world. Want you to know that they can be hard, they can get things done, they can build things. I'm now a senior VP. All of this takes me to, I guess, what would I call the third act. As I said, I've been having conversations with John Beebe about some of this. And when he first saw me do this in a much longer version, he said, I think you have 2 acts. You don't have your third act yet. Which, of course, was a great challenge to me. So this is my first run at the third act of this, which is, so what do we do? How do we engage the millennials? How do we actually manage them? How do we help them? And so I'm going to start with Xerxes, Emperor of Persia, extrovert intuiting, just coming at him gangbusters right now, I know. He was trying to invade Greece, and he was trying to cross the Hellespont, a little bit of water in between Asia and Europe. And his first attempt, his ships got sunk, and he was furious. And he ordered his men to whip the waves. He lashed the sea. And I would say that this is somebody who is not particularly well integrated with their soul. Which takes me to Ahab, who chased the white whale because it was either a mask for nature or nature itself, which he believed had malice towards him. And he would exact his revenge. As he said, I would strike the sun if it offended me. Harold Bloom referred to Ahab as the American Prometheus, that hubris against nature. Again, I would say, not particularly integrated with his anima, with his soul, going out, attacking that in that boat. Jung went and met his anima in the form of Salome, and what she did is she offered him all of the collective unconscious. And he said, all right, I'll take it. And of course, hubris. Youth by their very nature. Passion, it's admirable. And yet, there's folly there. Not integrated. The millennials, for all of their knowledge of technology, for all of their ability to manipulate that world, they lack wisdom. They are not integrated. They're young. That's how it works. Which brings us to Voltaire, at long last. I know you're dying to know why he's up here. If Rousseau created childhood, in many ways, Voltaire gave us the answer to how to mature out of childhood. When Jung said, yes, I will take all of the collective unconscious, that was a youthful move. That was doing this. That's taking on the entire state by yourself. It's too much. It was only when Jung turned around and said, I have limits. I cannot accept all of it, that he was able to actually integrate with his soul. Voltaire, which a bust of his was in Jung's study, wrote the book Candide. And in Candide, a young man goes out into the world with admirable passion. He's going to make it better. He's going to make his mark on it. It's going to be great. And all kinds of things befall him. Horrible things. And as many horrible things as befall him, he keeps thinking to himself, this is the best of all worlds. I will try again. And Voltaire has tremendous compassion for Candide. And at the end, the way Candide transitions from the boy who thinks he can change the entire world into a man is he recognizes his limits. And at the very end of Candide, he says, I will tend my garden. Jung ends the Red Book with a very similar sentiment. The recognition of your limits, the willingness to tend a small garden, is the first step to being able to start integrating some of our lower functions. The millennials, by the very nature of being so young, haven't even begun that, which is why they have such passion. It's our job to get them to recognize their limits. We have to give them responsibility and be prepared for them to fail and to have compassion for their folly so that we can then help them start integrating. And if we have the right language to communicate with them, we can use type in the way it was designed to help them with that process, to create a generation of 77 million kids that might actually be a little more integrated with their souls. Thank you.